So Schneider Electric, we are 180 years young next year, and Schneider Electric is an industrial company that has been around, and just by the nature of things, we have changed quite a bit and have transitioned from early industrial manufacturing to more of a modern, at the time, electrical technology. And today we are going through another transformation, growing as a software vendor, as someone who builds services and digital technology capability. So what I want to talk about today is a change. And well, you may say, well, that's not really a novel concept. Well, changes all the time. It's the nature of things. And I want to talk about things that change, that affect the utilities industry. I want to talk about the utilities industries that I'm dealing with. And these are things that we observe every day, things like climate change. There still could be a question as to why and how it happens, but really no one argues that there is a climate change that we observe from one year to the next to the next. Things like growing pressure on water resources and really continued use of fossil fuels and other natural resources that are not renewable. Our dependency on reliable utility services, on electrical utility services that are estimated to cost about $150 billion a year in US alone. And we'll talk about aging infrastructure. We talked about different things that, how infrastructure is under-invested into in the US, and some of the electrical infrastructure really is dating back to 1880s here in the US. Things that carry water or power. We have 400,000 miles of electric transmission lines here in the US, 1.5 million miles of gas pipelines. And this infrastructure continues to fail. The number of major disruptions and incidents, outages in electrical infrastructure has increased 3 times since 1984. And it's not that I'm a big George Orwell fan, but that is how far NERC data and consistent reporting goes back to. But we see these increases, lots of them are driven by weather events, and weather becoming more radical, more polarized, and causes more disruption. Utilities face a problem of aging workforce. If I look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics information, utilities are really they have the highest median age of their workforce. This is the oldest sector of economy, and this knowledge that they have is walking out of the door as people retire. New technologies, on the bright side, they enable quite a few opportunities for utilities. They can produce cheaper solar power. They can use digital technologies to automate what they do. And some argue that we are reaching pivoting points there with solar energy, that it can be produced less expensively than burning coal or gas. So the world is changing, but utilities are changing as well. They're responding to the world change around them. So they are using more renewables and distributed generation. And you may wonder, why is that we are using, or distributed generation using gas or solar is becoming so popular? About 2/3 of electrical energy is lost between the plant and the plug. So at Schneider Electric, we work on reducing the need for this amount of energy, and energy we consume in our houses, at our enterprises, and both industrially and commercially. Also, utilities are looking to introduce some operational efficiencies. They're looking at technology to provide automation. Things like supervisory control and data acquisitions and distribution automation, trying to move to a smart grid. And these are not really the same thing. This smart grid provides for much more flexibility, ability to use infrastructure not the way it was designed to be used. And they're trying to go through convergence of information technology and operational technology. So introducing more sensors, more information, and building Internet of Things to get access to operational information and automate it. They're trying to automate their business processes to deal with institutional knowledge retiring and leaving the organization. So there is more automation going on in industry. And industry tries to involve and engage both consumers and producers of information that, of energy that are oftentimes the same as producers and consumers. Many of us have solar panels on our rooftops. Some of us drive electric vehicles that can contribute back to the grid to supplement the demand. So this is all great, and how can geospatial technology help? And I'm looking back at geospatial technology, and coming from a 100-year-old company or being part of a 100-year-old company, I tend to look further back in the history. So really, as art of map making has started, we were making crude maps using basic tools, and then we introduced some science into that using better tools, producing accurate maps. And after a while, we decided, or we understood that the maps that we produce take too much time to be updated, and they become obsolete very quickly. It takes too much. And as geographers and geospatial professionals, we found the opportunity to extract the information that drives the mapping. So it is pretty much geospatial evolution within the art of map making. But this geospatial information was designed and still is designed to be consumed by human beings. And as we try to use geospatial information to learn and understand the world around us, we build analytical tools, we build models so that we can optimize that. And once again, it requires a human being to look at it, and we only today start talking about geospatial information and GIS going beyond mapping. And really to push it into the industry and industrialize the concept, we need to talk about automating that, really empowering the businesses with geospatial technology. And that part is really targeting the automated use and computerized use of the information. And you probably recognize these graphics from GeoMedia and GeoBiz Summit website. If I look at electrical utilities and electricity industry, it's dead last on the chart. How can we help? What is that that creates opportunities there? Yes, there are opportunities to take geospatial technology beyond GIS. Create tools that use GIS behind the scenes. They have to be embedded. They have to become invisible there in what I call a geo-empowered design and engineering. Things like mobility. Work follows the people these days. We don't really want to spend time coming to the office and going back home, and really we want to have the right information and right tools in the hands of our workforce. And I have a tablet picture here on the slide. It's the most benign mobile device, but really we see quite a bit of opportunity with wearable devices, augmented reality. And if we are not using that technology 10 years from now, then we are not doing something right. We see great benefit of that type of technology in all kinds of inspection, manufacturing activities that requires attention to detail and their use. We see ability to provide new sources of information to the industry, things like weather information or metering information from advanced metering infrastructure. This information, some of that requires development. It has to be reliable and authoritative, so because it's used for operational controls. There is a key use of spatial technology in demand response optimization and load adjustment for utilities. Really, the spatial technology is something that allows to relate or find relevant information in that vast sea of the information there. So I know that I'm running out of time, so I'm going to talk real quick about what that IT-OT convergence is and how that enables geospatial information. And we traditionally use geospatial information in enterprise resource planning, lifecycle management, and new and novel uses of that requires geospatial platform to become invisible, to become something that Laurie Jordan mentioned. It has to disappear to become industrialized. And there is a long list of opportunities, long list of things that geospatial industry can do to industrialize GIS. And lots of stuff is new. It's cool to be an explorer, a geographer again. There is a lot of opportunity to map out urban landscape, lots of indoor information that needs to be captured, applying new tools, as you saw with some of the laser scanning, range finding, applying the right tools at the light scale, and closing that gap between the high-end GIS and low capacity, low performance computing that currently is only dealing with location but requires a little bit more. So with that, I want to emphasize that there is a lot of opportunity and a very long list of things to do.